Indeed, and greetings upon you, beloved and holy friends. Thank you so much for joining me here again today in this moment on another stream. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for sharing the space, for being here with me today. Genuinely, I cannot thank you enough. I appreciate you. Let's read something worth saying, if you will. What you, what will you teach yourself and therefore make true for you? You see, what a trip. How resonant has it been for today, actually? What will you teach yourself and therefore make true for you? Begin to cultivate the deliberate practice of recognizing that you are in a field of energy that is your perfect servant. What is this moment for? What do I decree this moment to be? What do I most want to learn by teaching it? To teach is to demonstrate. To demonstrate is to express. And what you have decided will hold the greatest value for you. Whew. So, like you probably seen it in today's title, I said, what is it about humans, or why do humans like substance? Is the word I used. But I want to talk about substances today. Like I feel today was the tipping point, and I mentioned a little bit of it when Bubbles was talking about it, but today was a moment in which I genuinely started bubbling up, from this topic. Wanted to talk about it, wanted to explore why it is not only that we like substances as human beings, but also why we assume that substances are necessary for human beings to be in a certain way. And I feel that's also a very interesting thing to explore. This reminds me of what Mariah tells her kiddos: practice, right? You have to practice for what you want to be. See if I can find them again. Man, it opened up so perfectly. It felt like it was exactly where it was supposed to be when we got there, Jovan. And now it is lost somewhere. We are made from the very substance of overwhelming love and playfulness. Woo! Overwhelming love and playfulness. What a thing to be made up of. Today's intention is going to be substance, not substances, substance. To have something that is solid, to have something that is substantial. Substance. Every puff we take will be a substantial one. I've been stressing the whole day. I woke up. Let me share a little bit more. Yesterday, last night, I basically set the intention to take some mushrooms today. I was going to be, still did, I was going to dance today, and I wanted to have like extra energy in that direction, if you will. And I set the intention last night to do so. And I go to sleep and I wake up this morning and I'm feeling very off, very unaligned, I feel just mismatched. And I decide that maybe I'm just tired still and I just need to get some more sleep. So I sleep for like an hour longer, wake up from that, still feeling a little bit off, and instead of continuing forward with this idea that I've had, this intention that I've set, I decided not to. I made the intention, the conscious decision not to. And then after making that conscious decision, I decided to come outside and just, do like a little bit of a roaming stream. And it was blessed. And I shared in that stream that I'm happy that I ended up not taking these mushrooms because I feel like it wouldn't have been aligned with what we needed for this day. And I basically go throughout the day, Finish the stream up, basically starting to set up for my dancing stream, and a man shows up. Someone from Escom, is the electricity company, and he pulls in the car. Opens the gate and stuff, pulls the car into that little nook there, gets out of the car, walks into the pump little room, and he's checking out the meters and stuff. And I walk up to him and I'm like, "Can I help you, sir? Can I help you with anything?" And he's like, "Yeah, you can bring me a, what did he say? Um, a bewijzen betaling is the Afrikaans word. Proof of payment, that's the word. You can bring me a proof of payment. Otherwise, I'm switching your electricity off," he says to me. And I'm like, "Well, sir, I unfortunately cannot provide you with a proof of payment. I'm sorry." And I was genuinely, like, I say that I'm sorry in kind of defeat, like, "Oh well, guess we won't be having electricity for the next week or so." And he just doesn't. He doesn't switch the electricity off, and he starts leaving. And I'm like, "Sir, aren't you gonna switch the electricity off?" He's like, "No." "No, I'm not gonna switch the electricity off. Get me that proof of payment," he says to me. And I'm like, "Wow, well, thank you. I'll try and make a plan." And again, I just think to myself, if I was like pushing forward as I wanted to, doing the thing I thought I needed to, without any regards for my own personal feeling about it, taking this substance, if you will, without consulting my soul, my heart, my psyche about why it is I'm doing it, if I want to do it, if it should be done, it would have probably not been as smooth of an exchange, and I would probably have tried to recline into my room and not come outside when I heard a car come into our yard. And I would have probably not talked to this man who was going to switch our power off, and we would probably not have power right now. And afterwards, I'm just thinking about this. I'm like tripping out kind of about the fact that this dude has been here to come and switch our power off. And I still make the intention to go and dance. Oh, Naomi, I forgot that I've been casting YouTube to my TV when I got the notification about the stream and clicked it. Now we are at my TV. Woo! Sick, sick. That's so cool, Naomi. I think I will continue my coloring page when I listen to the stream. Please do that. Naomi, like, I would like to encourage all of you friends. I know this might be a little bit much, I'll say, but I'd like to encourage all of you friends to use the opportunity that we come together here in to try and be creative. If you are creative, like this is a great opportunity to be even more creative. And I still dance. I dance, I finish my dance up, I don't mention anything about it. And all I bring into that space of dancing is gratitude, being grateful just for what it is we have, for having electricity right now instead of not having electricity. And we finished the dance up. I finished the stream, and I cook myself a meal. I go to the garden. I harvest myself some beetroot, harvest myself some spinach. I also took some beet leaves as well. Got myself some onions, and then I cooked it all together with some chicken. Made myself my own little bread. Some flour, like a cup of flour, a cup of warm water, 30 grams or so of coconut oil, some salt, some baking powder, and it makes these little flapjacks. And I could enjoy my cooked vegetables and meat in these little flapjacks. And I was just so happy just to be able to have a good meal that I've cooked for myself. Hear the little bird? He's so small. He's like inside of that little tree nook. So sweet. And I cook myself this meal and I'm basically eating it and I'm just thankful for the meal I have. And my dad calls me and he asks me, talks to me about this man who showed up. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I know, we've been talking, me and him. He probably just wanted to scare you or wanted to rile you up or wanted to like have a little bit of a power trip experience." And that sets my mind at ease, talking to my dad like that. He also talked to me about that friend who we've wanted to get a job, about the circumstances of the job, if that friend is going to take the job, how it's going to be in Zimbabwe, so a neighboring country. It's gonna be less than ideal. You know, my dad is living with his colleague, you know, in the same room, and you know, all of the other men that work there as well are like living in a communal room. And if my Omi is gonna go and work there, he's going to have to do the same. And I've lived like that as well, you know, working here in South Africa, and it's kind of just a part of how things are at the start of a lot of things, you know, starting, especially working in Africa, there's just no infrastructure. So that's just how it is. And I just think to myself, what an adjustment it's going to be for my friend again. Him having this girlfriend, how the having this girlfriend is influencing him for, or if he's going to make the decision or not. You know, there's so much going on, and my dad is still trying to, you know, to help regardless. And it makes me very happy to see that. And it genuinely brought like a whole state of calm over my being as well. But but today's intention, the message, the thing we want to talk about was inspired by a friend, a few friends actually, on today's Arpan stream, the thank you dancing Arpan stream, about, like, he came in and he's like, "What do you do other than drugs, of course?" I think he said something like that. And it was in that moment such an interesting thing to me, you know, just on how people perceive other people, and how behavior like dancing has to be influenced by a substance. But fundamentally, if you're not willing to dance, then nothing, no substance will ever make you start dancing, you know, just manically. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but that's usually not how it works. If anything, the substance might make it easier for you to drop some of your inhibitions to dancing, maybe inspire you enough to want to dance. But if you as a human being aren't willing to, don't want to, then no substance is going to make you. You know, like I like drinking a coffee before I go dancing because it gives me a little bit more go. Does it mean that that substance is making me dance? Very much no. Nothing can make us do anything other than the things that we can make ourselves do. And then I was thinking about why it is I do substances, you know, especially in the context of this friend, you know, asking this question. And I mentioned, I shared that everything I'm doing in this moment, you know, the dancing, the message we share, is not something that is special or unique to me. It's something that we're all capable of. It's a little bird. Something that we're all capable of. And there's no substance that's going to do these things for you unless you're willing to do them for yourselves. And I worry, you know, I worry about what we're doing here. I worry about the energy I'm trying to share and how that is perceived. How it's in some people's minds, it's impossible for them to consider that there might be more to this space, to what it is we're sharing, than just the usage of substances, you know. And it makes me think, like, I already have been planning on taking a THC break, a tolerance break, you know. And I wonder, is that going to be a good thing for the people that think this space is only influenced by substance? You know, are they going to see? Are they going to look and be like, "Oh, would you look at that? I guess it's not substance." You know, why do we care? Why do we care? Why do we worry about other people's opinions, especially when it comes to stuff like that? I've been communing with fire and light. Pimpus Maximus. That sounds sick, friend. Thank you for joining us again. How are you doing? Good day to you, Ryan, and Old Yeller. Thank you, friends. Kira Burp is here as well. Ninana, Ninja Nana says humans like substance because we consume food, water, air to survive, books, wine, and weed to thrive. Ooh, oh, you see, like, thank you, Ninja. Thank you for joining us and sharing that beautiful perspective. Because it genuinely is what I think of it as well. It is a want to thrive in some sort of social setting, in some sort of personal setting, in an energy being expressed, in a meal being enjoyed. It's not that we want to, it's not that we need these substances to enjoy our experiences. These experiences can just feel fuller if we have access to these substances. And when it comes to substances, well, like there is this line in the side track that's coming to my mind that just goes, not all drugs work this way. And that can be interpreted for pretty much every single drug in comparison to every single other drug or substance. These things don't work the same way, but they still have the same underlying influence, if you will. Coffee is just as much of a drug as alcohol. It's just as much of a drug as weed. It's just as much of a drug as nicotine. And these things are now becoming more and more accepted. But there are other things that are still out of this acceptable light. Like psychedelics at the moment, fortunately, are becoming more and more accepted, and the studies that are coming out are giving us really good indications that it's going to help people with depression. Just imagine how many people we can help. Just imagine how many people have gone unhelped because of these biases against substances that we as humanity carry. Hello, my friend Gare Bear. Who would have thought I would see you today? Thank you for joining us, man. How are you feeling? I think I'll continue. There we go. Please, Naomi, again. What a bro. No, you, Star Lord. Thank you for joining us, my friend. I like the tangible. The tangible, you say, when it rains. Tangible. I would like to actually Google the official definition of tangible. Tangible means you can touch it, right? You know, and then we think of something as real because we can touch it. But the sensation of touching something is just electrical impulses being sent to your brain. This, what we're seeing right now, electrical impulses coming to your brain. Smell, taste, sound, electrical impulses. Binary, which is weird as well. Electrical impulses coming into our brain. Ones and zeros. Ons and offs, if you will. So, nothing is tangible. Or everything is. When it rains, everything that can be experienced is experienced as tangible within the utilization of mind. Gare Bear, hearing Melt say your name snapped me out of my coloring, and I had to see if you were on YouTube or Reddit. On the YouTube, interestingly enough, I haven't heard your name in so long, friend. How are you? Gare Bear has been good. Gare Bear has been living in the middle of nature. I'm just gonna share. I don't know if he's still here. He's waiting on Starlink in the little area that he's living in, waiting for good internet, edging closer and closer to the good internet. Hopefully soon. Thank you for the helpful and thank you for the resonance, Star Lord. I appreciate your love, friend. Toasty Doodles. Look at this dude. It's so nice to have you here, brother Bear. Thank you for joining us. I am also not hanging around because I have to get things for the kids, but I want to hear this talk in a podcast recap. When it rains, I've been thinking about that so much as well. I really want to figure out a way to turn the significant bits of information that we share in these streams into something a little bit more tangible, if you will, something that is easier to access than the entire stream. Because I feel there are these gold nuggets, that come from you friends. Maybe we form it together, and it very much is situational, and the entire stream can be a little bit difficult to watch. I think, at least in context or in comparison to what that would be if it was a little bit more condensed, catered, if you will. Dancing can sometimes be viewed as a vertical expression or horizontal intention. To be so raw and vulnerable, many people need to loosen their grip on their inhibitions and need substances to do so. Ooh, ninja. What an honor it is to have you in stream today, friend. You are sharing such beautiful truths. So, oddly enough, my very first experience dancing, I wasn't intoxicated at all. I haven't been drinking, I haven't been smoking. I was taken to a psytrance party with a bunch of with a new friend, a friend that I met the previous night at a bar. Well, technically he was outside of the bar at the restaurant, and I was walking past the restaurant's eating area, and he had these beautiful locks of hair, and I stopped in my shoes and I was like, bruh, I love your hair, man. And then he was like, thanks. And then he finished his food. Like they were basically finishing their food when I stopped there, and I asked him like, "Do you want to smoke a blunt with us?" And he's like, "Yeah, I want to smoke a blunt with you." And we went and we smoked a blunt. We exchanged numbers, and the next day he invited me to this psytrance party, and I got into this space, and it had these weird decorations, strings and stuff going all around, and these UV lights that were bouncing all over the place, and these lasers spinning around, and these strobe lights, and extremely rhythmic BT music. And I was seeing these people like just absolutely vibing, and I was like, what the fuck? What is this place? Why have I never seen a place like this? Where am I right now? And I I just tried. I don't know if I knew what I was doing, but I went there and I was trying to dance, and it was stiff. Like as you were saying, I had a hard time being vertically expressive and horizontally intentioned. I was just trying to be vertically expressive and not trying to have any intention in the vertical, frame at first. And it was an opening up of a new world for me. And I can guarantee you, and this is not an encouragement. Substances can help you dance. I'll be more than willing to admit that. I do feel I have more agency over time in my body when I have taken a little bit of mushrooms. And the way that I think about that is again in the context. I haven't lit that joint because I'm scared of it. I haven't. Like when you're dancing, it's like you're using information, right? There is the informational set within which your arms are in this moment, right? So where your arms are right now is a certain set of information. And if my arms are like this, then it's a certain set of information. If my arms are like this, it's a certain set of information, information. And then when you have access to this substance basically representing an informational molecule in your own brain, serotonin, you have more agency to use this information and move your body in a flowy way, and to do so rhythmically, in comparison, in unison with the music. Alongside with that, there is also a time dilation effect where time gets experienced differently, almost in a slower way. Like you're so pulled to the present that the very present moment feels like it has more substance. It's longer. Like this moment is longer, which doesn't make any sense. But in a dancing context, if this moment is longer, it's like you have more to do in this moment. And then it helps you, if you will, dance like that. But it doesn't mean you're unable to dance without it. It might be not as easy, but I believe that being able to force yourself or still get yourself to dance regardless is where the true power lies. And every single one of us has that power. It's just very difficult to access sometimes. Gare Bear says, it seems YouTube goes through faster. YouTube is pretty instant, dude. And it's also much smoother and wide framed. The bearded, try it. My friend, I've been waiting for ideal clouds. I need to make a video for Gem for Haywire Hill. And I want to still take you that photo of the mountains. But it's been like overcast the entire time since I've, made you that promise. And I'm really waiting for some good clouds. I'm great. How have you been, Naomi? Thank you for the love. Have you ever heard mushrooms hooked up to synthesizers? I have, Gare Bear. Like, actually, Toasty sent me another link of that today. I've seen it before, but every single time I see it, it just amazes me. So what they do is they take two little electrodes and then they put them inside of a fungal body. And then the electrical difference, that happens between those two nodes, a spike in electricity, a drop in electricity between those two nodes, basically gets put into a synthesizer, and then those ups and downs get put into a bunch of different noises, and then those ups and downs, instead of just being like, it's like, and it's crazy. The fact that mushrooms, I mean, that's not exactly what they sound like, but the fact that they're actively shooting little electrical impulses like our human brains are doing right now. They're alive, they're conscious, they're aware. There's something inside of me. Some weird entity just put a bunch of electrodes in me. He just starts manically screaming. And we're like, oh, look at, listen to that beautiful screaming. I have been, I have been well, Care Bear. Although right now I am out of work due to COVID closure, I'm trying to make the best of my time at home. Thank you so much, Naomi, for doing that. We have to run out of the parts, so we're running low and boring. A fungal hive mind, man. Weirdly enough, talking about substances, if you take enough mushrooms, it feels like you're reconnecting with that fungal hive mind. It's weird. It's so weird. And in that space, you realize what infinity means as well, what eternity means as well. And it, it humbles you. Everything you think you are, you think this world is, just blah, 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 melts away. And you're like singular awareness looking at this reality, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? We should get a Kirlian photograph while listening to fungi techno trippy. I don't know what Kirlian. Oh, yes. You actually told me about that. The energy fields you can see around things. A lot of time cleaning and cooking this week. Morning and get a short workout. And now I'm inspired for yesterday's streams to be creative and color a picture. Please, Naomi, thank you so much for doing that, my friend. Yesterday's work of art we made turned out pretty creative as well. Like I don't know how to share it, but I figured out how to create more ripples in the photo, and then those ripples folded onto themselves looked really cool. Whew! Substance, friends. We've been talking about substances for the last 30 minutes without ingesting any substances. I did drink coffee, so I guess that's another substance, but let's smoke a joint together, friends. For substance. Ingest the substance with the intention of thinking about things that will be substantial. Yes. Yes. I have a meeting today that I've been pretty intimidated by. Me and Sensane and Brandon Be Happy are going to have a meeting again today talking about our ideas, about our interpretation of what we want to do in our own way after reading his work, and then maybe start discussing how we're going to do something together. Also, start discussing how marketing will work for this whole world we're entering into. And it's so surreal that these things are happening. While my internet is just bonking out. Like this morning, my internet wasn't working, and then someone comes to switch the power off, and I'm just like thinking to myself, what the fuck is happening? Why is there so much nonsense getting in the way, at this moment where we're trying to build some momentum? Coffee is the only substance I have had today as well. Debating adding on to that. I normally don't smoke until the evening, but maybe I should switch that up. I have no obligations today. Naomi, if it's something like, especially since you're locked inside, and it's something that you would enjoy doing, playing some Minecraft if you will, if things have gotten done, then it can definitely be a good experience. But only if it's going to be a good experience, and if you set the proper intentions for that. How has the YouTube been with the content of the channel? Pretty fine, pretty fine. Like I feel the thing is like we're primarily live streaming, and the information we share and the content comes from an immediate place. I'm not, Peppy, what are you doing? I'm not writing scripts or something, I'm not pretending to be something I'm not. And if I did, then it wouldn't have been as immediate, as genuine as we know it is. But the only way to get those bits out is like rewatching the entire stream and then cutting them out. And I wish there was an easier way to do that. I know there's an easy way to do that with like a computer stream setup. I like literally press a button and it saves the last 5 minutes. But here it's not so easy. We smoke at work to make it a little easier. Yeah, it adds a little bit of a soft hue, onto our reality. when things are a little bit intense. It can add that softness to it. Today may be spent coloring, and also I intend to make a mob experience farm in Minecraft. Yes. I know what you're talking about, but I don't know how to do it. I mean, I might lean into that today. There we go, Naomi. Surely. Have a good time, my friend. Spend some time decompressing, if anything. Dancing. Oh, what are we seeing with one? They failed my car inspection for a tiny parking light that is nearly unnoticeable. It's the fear of cops breaking in your shit and beating you for using them. And that really breaks my heart as well. This war on drugs, war on substance. When human beings have been using substances for as long as human beings have been around, literally for the longest time, before any of these rules have ever even been thought about. Human beings have been using substances. And the first time that human beings started using substances was probably as, what do you call it? Pre Prehistoric, prolific, human beings. Like just as we started, figuring fire out and shit like that, we found these mushrooms in our environments. We ate them, and suddenly we had these experiences because of them. People like Terence McKenna, Paul Stamets would be big advocates of the idea of the stoned ape theory, that the reason we are human beings, the reason why we are as intelligent as we are, is because we had access to these substances. And these substances has the added benefit of increasing blood flow to the brain, increasing neuroconnectivity, in pretty much every animal that takes it, that has a normal serotonin receptor system, including the human brain, including the mammalian brain, including the primate brain. And if you look at the progression, if you look at the speed at which the human brain developed, something had to happen. Something had to influence almost the urgency with which the human brain developed, because it like tripled in size in, I think, 100 million years, which is not 100 million years, less than that. Something ridiculous, And the human brain, as it is right now, is allowing us to do what we're doing right now. We're having this conversation. Our right brain is the one that's present. It's like, oh yes, I'm here, my environment, I see things. And then the left brain is like language, identification of self, an understanding of doing, of instead of just being. And because of the consolidation of these two sides of our brains, we can have both in our minds this understanding of being in this moment together, and also have the ability to share, words and experiences and ideas in this beingness. And if you're gonna take substances, especially if you're taking substances of other human beings, it can either connect you even more intricately with people, can open up the ability for you to be comfortable with one another, or it can separate you from one another as well. And I've had this experience very personally with marijuana, where the very first time I smoked weed after coming back from China, so like taking a year and a half off, I smoked it with my brother. And after me and my brother smoked a little bit of bud together, we had the most beautiful conversation. And the best part is this conversation was just my brother sharing about his life, about what he's been going through, about what he sees in the world, what he's been experiencing, his relationship with his friends. And I'm just so viscerally in love with my brother and listening to what he has to say. And like 40 minutes of this goes past, and I stop him and I tell him, it feels to me like this is the first time I've ever heard you speak, and it, obviously, I've heard him speak before, but I've never heard him speak to me, if that makes sense. It's always like this speaking in general, like we're saying something to the room. It was never this genuine one on one connection. And technically, me and him could have had that conversation. We could have had that one on one connection years prior, years into the future. But because we were in that moment using a substance, marijuana, together, our brain chemistry were kind of synced up, and that allowed us a level of comfort, a level of openness with one another, to be able to listen truly to another person. And that changed our relationship. And it wasn't the substance that changed the relationship, it was us being with one another, talking to one another, that changed the relationship. The substance was just there for it, was just helping that environment, that energy thrive. And I've had other experiences with friends where we smoke weed together and I feel like an alien. I feel like I just got beamed down from a spaceship and now I'm sitting amongst other human beings and they think I'm a human being and I look like a human being, but I'm very much not a human being. And they're tripping out because they're having the exact same trip of they're not a human being and they're sitting amongst other human beings and everybody is tripping out about not being human and nobody wants to say anything about it because if someone says something about it then everybody's crazy. So then it like is this sheer separation of like, oh my goodness, I don't know what to say, I'm so uncomfortable, and it's the exact same substance, it's the exact same tetrahydrocannabinol molecule that gets activated and then gets absorbed by our bodies. Nothing changes except for us, except for the energy we bring into that environment, except for the way that we choose to see one another. And these things can help. These substances can help, especially if we do them together, because it can break down some barriers. But if you are unwilling to drop your barriers, then it will only help you reinforce them. Where are you living? Looks like a nice environment. South Africa, friend. Let me share some of it with you. I live in South Africa. Thank you for joining us, friend. Hello, Gary Bear again. An unfortunate reality for many in both developed countries and underdeveloped countries. And in underdeveloped countries, it's even worse. Ninja, I've heard some bad things from underdeveloped countries where they just kind of kill people, for that stuff. And they're celebrated for that as well. Morning, fam! Again, Toasty. Thank you for joining us, Bray. Brother Bear, it's so nice to have you here, man. How are you doing? When is those doodle streams coming up? Have you already streamed the doodle stream? Have you tried the? I don't know if you saw my message that I sent you. If you have, let me know. Let me just say that there needs to be more education. Not, oh, don't do drugs, they're bad. Like educate people on what they are and how they affect the body and the pros and cons. I couldn't agree more, Star Lord. That's the only way we're going to reduce harm when it comes to substances. Trying to, stop people from doing them has never, never, ever worked. Prohibition does not work. All it does is it creates a scenario for people who are willing to use violence and people who are willing to break the law to make exorbitant amounts of money. Now the government is using it to make exorbitant amounts of money. The government is using it to fill their prisons. The government is using it to fund certain tactical forces. It is nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. We need to educate people and we need to give them access to what they think they're getting. If I'm buying sugar, I really would not want to be buying sugar that has salt in it. Even though it would technically be indistinguishable, I would really not like to have salt in my sugar. Morning to you, old yeller, again, friend. Rasband! It's been a while. What's good, my friends? I hope you've all been well. We've been well, Rasband. How have you been, friend? It's been a while since you've been here. We've missed you. Still going strong. Oh yes, Gare Bear, we're never stopping, dude. We are infinite beings. Dog tax. She's just here, dude. My little girl. She's kind of hot, but nothing I can do about that. Also, why people seek them out. There's a huge mental side of substance use that goes completely unacknowledged. There's also an unwillingness to believe or to admit that there is a reason people are becoming addicted. That we're very prone, we're very willing, if you will, to point fingers and demonize a person for being addicted to something. And we can see someone addicted to something and see the way they look and what they're going through and what that has done to their lives. And it's very easy for us to say, oh, yeah, this person made those decisions and now they're suffering the consequences. And that's true. But what led to those decisions being made? You know, if you can suspend your judgment, if you can try and understand a person, it's it's going to allow you to try and find, you know, why a good person would make bad decisions, not why this bad person has been making bad decisions. Things happen to us. There's a lot of pain in this world, and these painful experiences lead us to trying to escape these painful experiences. And all of us do it differently. Some of us play games, some of us eat food, some of us smoke weed, some of us drink alcohol, some of us smoke meth and, you know, inject heroin. All of these things are sometimes can be used as a means to try and escape, try and distance ourselves from this very intense sometimes experience. And if we can recognize that about every single person and try and address that part of themselves, you know, what is it about this experience that is too intense for you? What is it about this experience that you feel you don't have the strength to handle on your own? And if you can identify those things and address them within yourself, I believe it gives you a lot more agency about the way you use everything in your life, the way you use food, the way you use exercise, the way you use hygiene. It becomes it becomes more personal instead of just being something you do, if that makes sense. Like, I use weed to manage so many different body issues I have, and for my brain. I don't think I could make it through a day without it because it calms my brain and makes things easier. For me as well, Star Lord. You know, I won't say I won't be able to go a day without it. I have I kind of like challenging myself to go without it sometimes. But in your words, it makes things easier, you know, and life is sometimes difficult, a lot of the time difficult just as it is. So why would we demonize someone for trying to make it easier on themselves? Why do we care? Why even if it's easier for them, why do we not want them to have that? What is it about people looking at another person and having a problem with them, you know, using a substance? And I think it's, as I'm saying this, it's also very dependent on what we think is attached to that. You know, if we see a person who is suffering and they're letting their health go, they're letting themselves go in pursuit of this substance, I feel in that way there is a part of us that is so scared of that becoming us that we demonize everything around what is happening in front of us, you know, like we make these assumptions about what it is we're seeing, when in reality, you know, every single one of us have the possibility or could possibly be that person as well, is in some sort of sense that person as well on the ultimate sense. And we have to ask ourselves if that is what we want. I think if anything, instead of judging another person, thank them for showing you what could be, you know, and what you maybe don't want for yourself. Like I'm trying to in my mind like give myself every single day, you know, I like to draw these infinity symbols in my mind, where if I'm having a negative experience, negative thought, negative interpretation of something, I try and complete that infinity symbol by bringing a positive aspect, positive interpretation into it as well. And in that case, in seeing someone who is suffering with an abuse problem, to thank them, to be grateful that you can live vicariously through them and see what a life like that could be and choose to not want that life for yourself. And within infinity, every single life, every single experience, every single moment will be had, and they are having that moment in this moment. So what can we do to try and make it a little bit better for them? I feel not being hateful or judgeful of them is a step in the right direction. Maybe you decide it was not best to take mushrooms for the time being. Ryan, I felt that way as well. You know, I said I don't mind. You know, I really don't mind. With mushrooms, I genuinely believe it's just more information. But throughout this day, I've received more than enough information. I didn't, for a second, thought, I really wish I had a little bit more information to work with right now. And I believe that's what mushrooms are as well. Is it just gives you a little bit more information about whatever it is your set and setting is, your environment, and what's happening inside of your mind. And this morning, even though yesterday I was determined to do so, this morning I was receiving information that wasn't beneficial. I was receiving information about self doubt, imposter syndrome, wondering if I'm going to be capable of this this new opportunity that has come into my life. What equips me to think that I can actually teach another person. Na 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 na. Na. And if I disregarded my set, if you will, my setting. Is it set? Yeah. If I disregarded my set and kind of power forward and put more information into my brain, I would have just been confronted with even more of that information, even more self doubt, even more self, maybe not self pity, um, self sabotage. Maybe I think imposter syndrome is very much a self sabotage reaction, and it wouldn't have been beneficial. It would not have been beneficial. And I'm very happy to be able to respect my intuition like that. And that's what I'm very grateful for. Like it's not the substance, friends. It's you. It's all you. The substance is just going to add a little bit of perspective, like a filter, like a tuning up of, if you will, you. Nothing's gonna change there. I was vaping cards for fun and to help me sleep, and I got violently ill last year from it. CHS. I miss it so much. But even one gummy makes me sick. I'm so sorry to hear that, my friend. Like, cards, unfortunately, are just way too powerful. I don't know what CHS is. Cannabis, hysteria. I don't know, dude. I'm sorry to hear that, my friend. I hope it gets better. I don't know if it does, though. I've heard a lot of people, after they've overdone it with weed, they get put off of it completely forever almost. I hope it gets better, friend. 100% agree. My joints ache. My mind is bouncing back and forth between happy and sad thoughts. I smoke weed and things settle down. It does that for me as well, Ninja. And I don't need a lot. Like, we've smoked this much of this joint, this entire stream. It's not about the substance. All of it has substance. Everything. This water. Ermias Plur. God uplifts peace, love, unity, and respect. It has substance. The air I'm breathing right now has some floral notes, some earthy notes, maybe a little bit of like the smell of roots, a little bit of that as well. Just the very air we're breathing has substance as well. I have been playing Jedi Fallen Order. Ooh, I heard good things about that game. Have you been enjoying it, man? Well, we build an entire giant tower. Oh, that's horrible. Goodness. And drop items. I mean, XP farming. Unfortunately, I have to go to sleep. Good night, Gare Bear. I know you work night shifts too. Thank you for joining us, Brother Bear. Have a good one. Sorry I'm late. What did I miss? Jenny, you're not late, friend. You're here. Thank you for joining us. We've been talking about substances. We've been talking about substances today. One of the biggest things that I wanted to bring into the stream today is just how, even though we do use substances and these substances can help us do things, the substance within themselves, if you will, sorry, don't do the things to us. Like, I can dance, I enjoy dancing, but I don't automatically break down into dancing as soon as I smoke a joint. But if I'm gonna dance and smoking a joint with that, it can make it a more unified experience. And I'm just trying to share that perspective of, You can do these things. Everything you can do. Everything else is just extra. And you should allow yourselves to do them first. Naomi and Gare Bear. Oh man, I saw the name before I read the text. Just missed Gare Bear. Just missed him. Hopefully he'll be here again, Lane. Hopefully soon. Hey, Heather is here as well. I wanted to share some love today. Thank you so much, my friend, for sharing love right back to you. How are you doing, Heather? Have a good day, fam. Thank you so much, Star Lord. Education in moderation would solve so much. Back in the day, they used so many now illegal narcotics, but nowadays, these substances are even more dangerous and plentiful. We've been lied to for so many years, so many generations have been misled. Just so that pharmaceutical companies can capitalize on this, make billions, my friends. Billions and billions and billions. And the worst part of it is that the substances that are legal, these prescription medications, are medications that you have to continue taking. They want you to continue taking a medication. They don't want you to get better. They don't want you to be healed. They want you to continue taking something. And we have now evidence of mushroom experiences lasting 6 to 2 years after a single dose. And from a pharmaceutical like perspective, if a person gets better for 2 years, doesn't need anything, doesn't need any substances, doesn't need any prescription medication for 2 years after taking something, that's a really bad business model. But if you love human beings and you want human beings to get better, then it's a fantastic thing. Like, oh my goodness, you felt better for 2 years? You had less depressive thoughts for 2 years after a single experience? That's amazing. But if you want money and you want continued money, then it's not a good experience. How can you read the comments? Hey, can you read the comments? I'm trying to, Almond. I'm just taking some time, friend. Mushrooms made us. Uh, Mushroom made M. Mushrooms, probably, if anything, if you wanna say mushrooms made us, mushrooms created an environment in which life as we know it is possible. So by extension, yes. I have a low form of autism, and weed helps me in so many social aspects and keeps my mind from overloading itself. Me too, friend. High functioning autism. Yeah, learned this pretty recently actually, and I feel weed helps me for that as well. I feel mushrooms has helped me for that as well. And apparently they're doing studies based on that now. So more and more information is coming to us, my friend. Hey, Kira Burb, he will get to each comment in time. You're right, Kira. Thank you for letting our friend know. Mushrooms challenged everything I've always thought I believed about reality. Perfect. That's like music to my ears, friend. Question everything you believe about your reality. And I feel like saying that sounds like a yikes, but don't question it in a way where you don't know what is real, you don't know, what experience is supposed to be valuable. Question in every moment, why is this valuable? What can I get from this? What can I see in this moment that has to be expressed to me, that has to be, we have a word in Afrikaans, geopenbaar aan my, opened up to me. What is in this moment? What is opening up to me? And keep asking that question. Don't consolidate. Don't believe that you are this little block. Melt more. Just melt more, friends. I would take shrooms, but I don't know how it would affect me because I take other medications. Do some research, my friend. Do some research. Exactly, proper amounts is key to a good experience. Weirdly enough, most of my quote unquote bad experiences are with lower doses. Like high doses, I don't get bad experiences, but with low doses, very much so. Cannabis is the one that always comes to my mind when I think of the resources, the lives, the time spent on a war on drugs, and what could have been done with those resources and industrial hemp. I cry so hard sometimes. Inside, sorry. Dude, Ninja, literally, we would have lived in a different world. Man, something keeps freaking biting me. We would have lived in a completely different world. Unrecognizable. This freaking war on drugs fucked so much up. I'm sorry. He's smoking weed. Yes. Yes, I am smoking weed, friend. and it's legal in my country. It's been decriminalized. I can grow my own. I am growing my own. I have a plant that I believe is world class. Well, maybe not world class. South Africa class, Definitely one of the best plants in South Africa, I'd like to admit. And I'm looking forward to, to being able to smoke the bud I'm growing right now. As I'm smoking the bud I've grown before. What is illegal about weed, dude? What is what is legal? It grows out of the ground, and then I take this nug, and then I let it dry, and then I crush this nug, and then I put it in a piece of paper, and I can smoke it. What else in your life has that immediacy? No food that you eat unless you harvest your own foods that you put into your body. Do you know where it's coming from? Think about that. Like we eat these things, but we see them in in the grocery store. In the grocery store, when we take this package and we cook ourselves our meals. But where does it come from? What has it gone through? Where has it been? What people has it seen, if you will? What energies has come across it for it to be where it is with you right now? And when it comes to weed, especially homegrown, personally grown weed, there is this immediacy with knowing the amount of time and effort I put into this, and then being able to experience that time and effort. For me, weed is the same as what blinkers to a horse are, blocking out all the unimportant things. I've never thought about it like that, Smurf. That's beautiful, friend. I actually like that. I've always considered it to make things a little bit more fuzzy or more soft, like things feel a little bit more welcoming. But I like the horse blinders as well. That's so awesome. Hey, freaking Talia is here. I wonder how weed works with ADHD because both are related to dopamine, and theoretically, weed could help since it's elevating dopamine levels. I wouldn't be surprised. Talia, do you have ADHD? Apparently, I have ADHD. Maybe it helps for the streams. Maybe I've been using it as an aid, and I haven't even realized. Got to go. Have a good one. Have a good one, Star Lord. Heather, morning buddy, enough time. We like substance because humans always want to challenge reality, and substances is the closest we get. Ooh, what a cool perspective. Hallo, Je wat? Op gang? Hoekom? Wat? Swap. Wat gaan aan? Okay, maar hoekom toet julle in goeters? Hoekom toet julle in goeters? Julle het getoet. Ah, there was cows in the road. That's why the hooter was used. Challenging reality, and substances allows us to do that. Challenging reality. Maybe challenging our conception of what reality is. Because reality, fundamental reality, is probably not what we think it is. What we think is reality probably isn't reality at all. Does anyone else experience the following with weed? When I'm high on weed, I literally get a voice of truth in my head that's talking to me and telling me how to be the best human in the exact moment I'm in. So I would say yes, but I feel that voice is always in us. Weed can just make us a little bit more aware of that voice. Talia, thank you for sharing that perspective, actually. I would love for study to be able to done. It's being done right now, Old Yeller. Little by little, my friend. Benefits weaken all sort of things, ADHD included. Heather, is your mom improving? I hope so. Thank you for reaching out as well, Ryan. Legit, bro, the cotton hobbyists and the tobacco lobbyists and the alcohol lobbyists, big pharma, are the reason that this is still an issue. People's pockets are being lined and the public pays for it with their mental health and general health. It's disgusting, Razband. It really is. Smurf says, yeah, exactly, free the mind and it shows you the true way. Definitely could be a healthy alternative to many addictive prescriptions. It's coming, friends. Little by little, it's coming. But why we shouldn't we? Life is short. Be grateful. We are here for it now. Absolutely, friend. Fantastic Fungi is a good show. 100% a good watch. Slap my sloth, says this friend. Sam, I'm sending you good vibes, dude. Why did the human brain seem why did the human brain seem to be the only. That's not a complete sentence, friend. I'll try and complete it for you. Why does the human brain seems to be the only one that likes substances? It's not. Other creatures like substances as well. And dolphins like substances. Lemurs, will rub poisonous centipedes or millipedes on their faces to get themselves all trippy as well. Creatures like substances. There are so many complex parts in the brain, and psychedelics strongly intensify the communication of neurons with many different neurons that usually don't interact directly. Yep, it increases neuroplasticity and it also increases neural connectivity. So parts of your brain that never communicate with one another suddenly start to. And it's a pretty cool thing, just in itself. Part of the reason why big research being done on brain damage in mushrooms, they help build new neural pathways to connect parts of the brain that aren't communicating like they used to. Yes, 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 Ninja. This is the truth. I've always told people weed will enhance whatever state of mind you are in or whatever vibe is most present. Beautifully put, Mariah. Like these things just bring to the forefront more of consciousness. They're not going to alter consciousness at the point where it's different. It's still going to be consciousness. Substance. Substance. Is what we're talking about substantial? Does it have substance? I hope so. I fell down to earth from 100 miles away, and somehow I will make it work. I still make it work. A song lyric? I'm guessing so, Toasty. Tell me more. Yes, Ninja. Psychedelics can improve neuroplasticity by a lot. It's amazing. Yep, it's true. Since we accepted the autism as a spectrum, I feel like autism is another way to divide us. You're different because you care if there is too much sensory input. Everything is a way to divide us. Language sometimes can be a way to divide us, Jenny. We just have to choose to use it like that or not. Elephants drink alcohol too. Yep, they do. They eat like fermenting marulas, getting super wasted. And they'll break into wineries and drink their wine. Like alcohol, like elephants like getting super wasted. Monkeys like to smoke cigarettes. Yeah, when they get them, my dog ate some of my butter, but I don't think she enjoyed it. My dog also once ate some of my butter. I think it was just a little bit too much. Like I've been giving my old, like 16-year-old dog little dollops of like cannabis oil, and weeks afterwards he seems better. Like his hearing is better, his eyes are better, and I try. I don't know if it's helping him, but he's 16 years old and he's still kicking. Like he's 6 years overdue, if you will. And I've been feeding him this stuff a long time. He seems to be healthy. Our mayor has a good career. Someone told the officials he smoked, and they took him down. Ruined his whole career over weed. It's ridiculous. I hope, the worst part about this is, Heather, is that there is no justice for things like that happening. Because now in 20 years, weed is now globally accepted. I wish he could just go and sue people, like literally sue them for like ruining his career because of something that is now widely accepted. That's so stupid. It's unacceptable. Damn, Heather. Cancel culture is real and very wrong. Oh, absolutely. It's almost certain they approve something in the area for depression therapy. It's happening. Talk about therapy. It was actually MDMA that allowed me to let go of a lot of insanely strong trauma I used to carry around. I never thought I'd ever get over that stuff, but sometimes the most unexpected experience can lead to so much healing. If only they put money to pay the war on drugs with into education. Yeah, if only. Talia, and it's so beautiful that you share that as well because MDMA is one of these substances that have had the most evidence based success when it comes to PTSD, so dealing with trauma. And the way they do that is they basically give these person an MDMA dose, they let them listen to some music, then during their peak, they talk to these people and you're lucid. You're completely lucid in a conversation. You can have a conversation on MDMA. It's fantastic having conversations on MDMA. And while you're having this conversation with this trauma victim, you basically bring their trauma back up and you talk about it and you identify which parts of it were the most horrible. And then you bring the attention back to where you are right now and the experience you're having right now and how joyous, how open, how safe it is. And we literally heal our brains. Our brain sees this traumatic knotted event in our brains, and then it is in the present and it sees this beautiful, open, expansive feeling, and it's like, you know what? I want this instead. And it lets go of that trauma. It melts it away. It dissolves quite literally. No, 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 no. I think I saw something about how MDMA helps people let go of childhood traumas. Yeah, like genuine PTSD. And again, studies are being done. I'm almost positive that they're proved it for treatment usage. It has been, and it's going to be. Like the worst part about it is now these things are going to be used, for profit again. Things that humans have been demonized, prosecuted for, are now going to be used for profit. And the people that are going to be profiting from it were probably the people in support of the demonization and the prosecution of those people in the first place. Humans are not the only ones using. There are known birds and even dolphins that get high. I know, friend. Like the conscious experience likes to have more than just this conscious experience. We like to have all of consciousness. We like to see into infinity. But infinity is so vast that no matter how much we do, no matter how much we explore, we'll never truly be able to experience all of it. And that's why we try, because it's fantastic. It's amazing that we will never run out of things to do. Yes, Ninja. And then, even though MDMA has such a bad reputation, it has a reputation as a party drug right now. I hope we all live to see each other in our home countries realize that the immense potential of these substances and change their laws. It's happening bit by bit, Mariah. Mariah. Talia. Weed is helping for that. It's the foot in the door, that's opening the rest of them. And it's like, oh, weed is a gateway drug. Maybe, maybe a gateway into psychedelics. But you're not going to smoke a joint and then be like, you know what would be really nice? Lines of coke or a bowl of meth or a solid injection of heroin right now. That's not how it works. If anything, it creates a curiosity in your mind of, oh, this is not even remotely what I thought it was going to be. I've been lied to. What else have I been lied to about? Good morning to you, Voicei. Vusai? I don't know how to say your name. And we already have a Sai. Vui. I'll call you Vui. Is that okay? Good morning. I can't stick around, but I gotta go to work. I hope you have a great day. Thank you, friend. Weed and dancing is so amazing. Highly recommend to anyone who hasn't tried it out yet. Absolutely. Thank you for recommending as well, Talia. Yes, sir. Setting is key. Psychs are life amplifiers. Your psyche is a performer on a stage, dancing in the spotlight for an audience of one. When we take psychs, it flips the house lights, exposing everything, especially the offstage cobwebs. Ugh. Toasty, you are such an inspiration, brother bear. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. I feel like I had to have to applause instead of saying anything. What else have we been lied about? That's exactly how I felt, right, Jenny? And that's what people are scared of. It's not addiction. It's not uh, dependence. It's that questioning of this reality. Oh goodness. Is my life alive? I love you, Toasty. You're the best. Right? Man, Toasty is on it today. Very nice metaphor, Mr. Toast. Beautiful one. Good morning, Booty and Barbecue says, good morning, Melt. Peace and love to everyone today. Substance is a huge topic. You're covering it well. Legal, illegal, one experiences versus another. It isn't it, for everyone? Ooh, okay. So I'm happy that you bring that into my mind, and thank you again, friend, for joining us. I don't think it is for everyone. I believe that some people, some experiences, some infinities, if you will, need to be experienced in a sober state of mind as well, so that it can be experienced, so that there is an experience of a sober state of mind. I don't feel like, I think the biggest thing we're trying to take away from today is don't demonize other people for what they choose to do, even if they're sober. Even if they're sober, we should embrace, experience all of it together. That's the only way we can go forward. And just to, like, preface what I'm going to say next with that, I don't think everyone should be taking substances. especially not some of them. Some of them I feel can be very difficult, very, very difficult, intense. You know, it can leave you in a state of mind where you realize just how little you know. And not everybody is ready for that. Not everybody is going to be ready for that. We can't expect everybody to be ready for that. And they don't have to be. Because if you are, then so is the conscious evolution, that's happening right now. They don't have to because you are. Hi from Paris, handsome fellow, Alexandre. Thank you for joining us again, my friend. It's so nice to have you here. How are you feeling? How's Paris doing? Anyone who loves their Apple products but hates drug users should remember that Apple wouldn't even have been founded without acid. There we go. Yeah, Steve Jobs apparently had the epiphany of creating a tech company on an acid trip. And I'm not even remotely surprised by not even not like if he had to be like, bro, I'm gonna tell you a super big secret, you cannot tell anyone and you won't believe it, he says to me. And then he's like, I started Apple because I had this epiphany on an acid trip. And then I'd be like, okay. And then what happened then? What led to this epiphany you had? Or this drive? And he's like, no, that was it. I'm like, what? That's obvious, bro. You were just in that space. Your certain setting was allowing for your mind to think about those things, and then you took this substance that gives you more information, and this increase in information put things in a perspective in your mind that you could realize this technological dream that you have. It's not rocket science, it's just information. I think it's nice to have a guide when you first experience it, during your first experience with psychedelics. In my case, it was my cousin. I have been the guide to so many people. Alexandra, I've guided I think 9 people through their first experiences. I have guided as a friend afterwards. Amazing. And how was that for you, friend? It's such an experience guiding someone else through it. I wish I could hear a Steve Jobs trip report. I think there is one, Jenny. Like, go and check it out. Like, I think he does talk about it. He doesn't talk about it a lot, though. Tobacco is becoming illegal. I want to say good. I'm kind of, even though I'm pretty much against, making things illegal, I think making tobacco illegal might not be a bad idea. It kills so many people. 8 million people a year. Or is that alcohol? Yeah, I think it's cigarettes that kill 8 million people a year from like cigarette related health risks or detriments. 8 million human beings, souls, getting snuffed out, and there's other people that are banking, selling the product that are killing them. That's weird. What's your story with a toasty? If you feel comfortable sharing, like Toasty, I know a bit of Toasty's experience, but I won't share anything that he's not willing to. The silly mindset. My fam doesn't approve of my use, but are all but are all on medications and SSRIs for the rest of their life. I feel sad for their refusal to explore other options. Jovan, it's so crazy to me that people believe, because the substance they use come in a bottle and in beautiful little individualized capsules, that it's not a drug, that it's not a substance, that it's just a medicine because it looks like in our conceptualized first world like a medicine. Oh, look, it's a little capsule. Isn't that cute? I can drink it with water, and now I've taken this thing. I don't have to roll it into a joint or pack it into a bowl or, inject it into my arm. So it's not a drug. I just swallowed it. But you can swallow mushrooms as well. You can crush mushrooms into pills and swallow them as pills, and you'd still have the experience. People are so, and the craziest thing, Jovad, and I'm gonna share this with you. My parents, I've gotten them to believe in me now, and I've gotten them to open up to the possibility of taking psychedelics regularly. My dad has gone through two 1 gram experiences with me. One gram experience, we went hiking, walked through this like beautiful jungle area. It had a river through it. There were, I think, 50 different mushroom species that we saw in the little jungled area. It was amazing. And my dad's interpretation of that was it felt like things were slowed down and I had more time to experience them, was his interpretation of his experience. And then it was like months, literally a year and almost 2 years before he tried it again, and that was when he had COVID. I crushed up some mushrooms for him and gave it to him, and then I just like spent time with him, holding his hand while he was having a hard time breathing, going through his COVID symptoms, if you will. I contracted COVID as well in that scenario, if you will, but that was a second mushroom experience. And now I've made them these microdosing capsules, and now he's comfortable with taking those, because they're in pill form. It's just a little pill he has to swallow. And even though he's been okay with taking the mushrooms, he was resistant to it because it looks like a mushroom, but now because it's a pill, now it's okay. Like it breaks me because I'm the opposite. I feel because it looks like a mushroom, some part of my brain is like, yes, this is I recognize it as mushroom, you know. Oh, ching in my brain. There's no such thing as a pill in our natural environment. Think about that. Why are we so comfortable with taking pills? People who don't approve. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be comfortable with taking pills. I'm asking why people who don't approve cannabis are ignorant, especially the ones who drink alcohol and have meds but hate on weed. People who, take like antidepressants, Xanaxes, drink alcohol, drink their coffee in the morning and smoke cigarettes throughout the day. And then it's like, you dirty drug user. When they see someone smoke weed, I'm like, do you hear yourself? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? I don't know if I have ADHD. In the end, ADD and ADHD basically is a spectrum. I personally think I have a little more ADHD than the average person. But whatever it is, I'm glad I can handle my mind very well. I have a hard time managing my mind sometimes, Talia. I have a really hard time focusing and like reading something, for example. And I've had this for as long as I've existed. High school was a nightmare for me because I would try and study, and then literally 44 seconds into studying, I'm like, my eyes are still moving across the letters. There is still some sort of dialogue happening in my brain, but me, my awareness is no longer here because it's mind numbing. And I guess that is ADHD. Like, and then my mom encouraged me to go on drugs, prescription meth, Concerta or Adderall, literally prescription meth. And then I was like, shwing! Oh, now I can focus. Because drugs. But it's dopamine, and that's not good for our brains. And so many people are doing it right now. So, like, we're prescribing it to kids. It's ridiculous. And then it's like the same person who would prescribe prescription meth to their kid would be like, oh, I don't want them exposed to these weed smokers. Maybe they'll have a bad influence on them. Like, you do realize you're giving your child meth, right? One of the most addictive substances on planet Earth, and you're giving it to him every single day. Yeah. Yeah. Is it the tobacco or is it all the other chemicals that go with it? It is the manufacturing of cigarettes, and all of the processes that go alongside with that, and the chemicals, inevitably that go with it as well. If people that use tobacco were using it, growing it in their gardens or locally in a community, and then taking the actual big leaves and crushing it up into smaller bits to be able to smoke it, I feel it would be much better because it would be more immediacy and direct contact with it. If you're depressed and alone, be careful with mushrooms though. They can help, but they can also cause some difficult thoughts and anxiety. I agree with that, Alexandre. I've had very dark thoughts on mushrooms as well, self harm thoughts even, but they they were like almost showing me that that is possible. They were like showing me, oh, look at these self-harm thoughts, look at these thoughts of insignificance, look at these thoughts of nothing matters. And then it was like, do you believe that? Are you sure about that? And I guess not everybody is willing to go through that and then ask themselves those questions. And I also faced the thoughts that I was trying to avoid. Which thoughts do you try to avoid, Jenny? I know that is counter and indicative to what you just did, but now I'm curious. I have cried so much on streams after a bad breakup. Me too, friend. Not just after a bad breakup. I cry a lot on mushrooms. Like, it's So ADHD is the reason I've held weed. I will quiet. Li- whoa, whoa, whoa. It will quite literally slow down the thoughts. I can actually think an actual thought for a time instead of a rapid perpetual shifting of thoughts. For me too. For me too, Mariah, very much so. Oh crap, Joe Bot, I'm sorry to hear that. SSRIs are a giant topic all by themselves, and I don't even want to go into it because I'm very against them, but I'm not against people getting better or taking care of themselves. And because people have benefited from this substance, SSRIs, an attack of SSRIs can feel like an attack on them and their current state of happiness. Please, dude, give me some space. And I don't want to do that. Okay, it was a music festival in 2018, Phoenix Lights. I have never experienced euphoria like that before. I just stood in the crowd, observed everyone, and felt a connection like I'd never felt before. My heart finally understood. There was no separation. We are all one. Stardust, loving stardust. It literally changed everything about me. And that experience, Toast, that experience is so true. You know, it's so immediate, it's so significant, it's so inspiring, it's so overwhelming, you know. It's undeniable. And that experience is something we all can have. It's something we all have. And I have to tell you, Toast, like, oh, this experience of we are all one. There is no separation. Your heart is connected to every other heart. We're just stardust among stardust, you know, complexified stardust communicating with one another. You can be like, yeah, dude, you're tripping out. But when you have that experience, it's not something that you just talk about. It's something that is felt. It's something that becomes a truth in your heart. And I wish more people would be willing to experience that. The thing is, people have to people have been so judgeful, so hateful of other beings that upon having that experience, it can be devastating. You can cry for hours just thinking about the people that you've hurt in your life. And sometimes I do it as well. Mosey, that's so cool. Very glad you found your wonder medication. Oh, thank you. I'm also happy, Talia. Like this is definitely a medicine if you use it that way. Then okay, sorry. And Jenny says I tend to avoid thoughts of anger. As a child, I was taught that I did not have a right to be angry. I can suppress it so fully that I dissociate into another personality. Mushrooms and weed help me feel and move through the emotions. Ooh, beautiful thing to say, Jenny. Man, I appreciate the amount of perspective in today's stream so much. It feels encapsulating. Like this is the best way we can ever talk about this topic. Thank you. Thank you so much for being willing to share that, Jenny. You know, I know it goes without saying, but you have a right to be angry about things, friend. Nobody will be angry at you. Be angry at you for being angry. We love you so much, Jenny. Thank you for being willing to share and acknowledge that part of yourself. Thank you, and it's okay. I understand that it's completely their choice. I just wish I wasn't a negative light in their eyes. Yeah, you know, and that's the surreality of it as well. In your eyes, you see these family members, people that you love, taking these SSRIs, kind of going through a drag, you know, having a hard time keeping weight off, having a hard time exercising, having a hard time coping if they're not using this medication perpetually. And then they see you smoking weed, and then because that is in their conceptualization of a drug, that like, oh, you're now using this drug, but they don't realize that they're putting this drug inside of themselves every single day selectively. Okay, well, rather selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. In parts of your brain, it is literally taking the very serotonin molecules that your brain is producing and keeping them in those receptors. Reuptake inhibitor, causing your brain to not have the ability to, pull those little molecules out and reuse them, destroying them, leaving you with less for the next day. As a result, you have to take that medication again so that you can just feel base level normal. And then we do that to ourselves, and we see our families do it to themselves, and then we want to help them, and then we're the ones that are trying to attack them. Jovan, I'm sorry, my friend. We love you so much. Know that you're doing enough. That's the only thing I can say. It doesn't go without saying thank you for saying. It helps to have external reinforcement, especially from someone I love and respect. That's you and the other friends here, by the way. And we love and respect you, Jenny. Thank you so much for being willing to share your intricate and innermost secrets with us, especially when it comes to, thoughts that we try and hide from. I feel not only identifying those thoughts within inside of ourselves, but being vulnerable and willing enough to share them with other beings can also make us think, you know, about these things in context of other beings. As you said, people you love and respect, we love and respect you so much. Thank you for being willing to share your essence, your soul with us, Jenny. I hope that there will never be a yet. Have they tried it yet? I wish they would. I wish they would. I wish my mom would smoke a joint with me. She will not. She's been willing to take a little bit of an edible. I'm gonna ease her into that as well, and she's accepted my invitation of a mushroom trip. We just haven't had time for that just yet. We should make some time for that. I really look forward to taking my mom through her first guided trip. It makes me so happy. I'm happy that I could have convinced them, especially since I was the one that was taught not to do these things as a kid, and now I'm telling them how to do them. Feels like this surreal imbalance. Mm, I bet they drink to her. Oh, oh, toast. My family drinks like fish, dude. My family drinks so much. It's concerning. And I'm the like. Fortunately, I'm the opposite when it comes to worrying about people's thinking of me. So I just smoke in front of them. Like I didn't this vacation or this Christmas, but last Christmas I very much did. Was it last Christmas? No, it was last birthday when my mom had her birthday and we had the whole family here. I was no, it was my dad's birthday. Sorry, I was just smoking in front of my family members, and like there was an initial sense of shock of like, is he actually doing that? And then I would have conversations with my family members. I would play with the kids. I would, talk to the other cousins, that were around my age, and then people were like, "Oh, it's still just melt," and I'm like, "Yo, what did you think is gonna happen? I'm suddenly going to morph into, a weed being? No, I'm just gonna be myself. I might be a little bit more goofy, I'd admit, but I can be pretty goofy sober as well. Living in France, I still enjoy good wine, but I have reduced my alcohol consumption so much since experience with a shroom. Me too, interesting enough, Alexandre. Like after having a mushroom experience, my first few mushroom experiences, I actually went completely anti-alcohol. Like I was viscerally against alcohol. But now I'm also willing to like have a glass of wine with friends or drink a beer with friends, and I'll enjoy that experience, but very much in moderation. I never drink to get drunk now. Like, and I think if you can make that distinguish, if you can distinguish like that in yourself as well, to just shift between drinking because it's social and you want to have that energy with friends, and drinking to get wasted, and it's like confusing to me when I see that in the world these days. You're doing even, whoa, whoa, whoa. You don't even want it anymore, right? I'm the same. Yeah, for me too, Jenny. For me too. It's like you realize why we do things like substances, and then you have this mushroom substance experience, and it's like expansive instead of contracting slash limiting slash softening slash making inaccessible parts of your reality, alcohol that is, it does the opposite of all those things, and you're like, oh my goodness, this is what an experience can be like. And you're like, why would I ever drink alcohol? Why would I do that? Oh, you're doing the right thing. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Toasty, I can only read the first half, but I can very well relate to that one moment of euphoria. That intensity can change your life be far better if you bring the right mindset into that moment. I believe we are, Talia, and I believe, weirdly enough, there is something about us having experienced those truths that allow us to resonate with that truth, the truth that love is true. And that's why we come together. It's trippy to me how many of us have shared these experiences. And I'm pretty sure that people who haven't had those experiences probably have a harder time being comfortable in this space talking about these things than we might. And that's interesting to me as well, because I don't want to exclude anyone. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Yes, Joe Bot, you're doing the right thing by being open to their decisions. I hope that by any chance they'll be open to yours someday. Man, what a beautiful thing to say. Thank you, Talia. I hope so as well, genuinely. They have with the questionable interaction, small town, proud minds, indoctrination, be real, yo. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, Siobhan. Oh, goodness. It's so surreal seeing that as well, because you feel like there's something odd about you. You're like, what the? Why? Why are all of you so consolidated in this mindset? Maybe it's the echo chamber thing. We are products of our environment, huh? Only fear of change keeps us there. And why are we scared of change? Change is the only constant. If you can bet on one thing, you can bet that there's going to be change. It's crazy. Amphetamines, unfortunately, will have a bad reputation. I think because people abuse them, even occasionally, recreationally, they can be especially slippery slopes for some people. It's bad, Toast. Amphetamines, like the reason I believe it's bad is because of what pathway it takes, and it's dopamine. So, if we're talking about substances, we should probably, and I don't know if we have time for it really, but the pathways that these substances use are very important as well. Dopamine, serotonin, and the opioid receptors. Yeah, those are the three ones. And then technically, the endocannabinoid system as well for marijuana. But those are the ones that most drugs fall under. So serotonin, like mushrooms, LSD, DMT, technically MDMA is a reuptake inhibitor of serotonin, so it will fall into this class as well. Um, I'll keep it at those because those are popular, if you will. Then when it comes to the dopamine system, it's like speed, meth, cocaine. We'll keep those three because they're also familiar. And then when it comes to opioids, obviously is going to be your heroines and your fentanyls. And these different systems, I believe, have different values in our immediate life. My opioid receptors could be potentially base level, reducing the amount of pain I might be feeling from any discomfort in my body. My dopamine right now is giving me some sort of indication that I'm doing a good job at staying alive. And then my serotonin is modulating the amount of experience or the information that I'm experiencing. So if you upregulate your opioid receptors, then you feel less pain. If you upregulate your dopamine receptors, then you feel more self confidence. And if you upregulate the serotonin receptors, then you have more information to deal with your normal environment. And the problem with amphetamines is that they just give you more information about how good a job you're doing about staying alive. And this thing that you just did is really good as well. And unfortunately, when it comes to the normal levels of dopamine that our brain produces and releases, we have like a base level of what we can expect from this reality of how rewarded we can feel for doing something arbitrary, having sex or making your bed or finishing a project. And that it releases dopamine, and we're like, okay, let's say sex releases 100 points of dopamine. Now you can smoke methamphetamine, and now you have 1,600 points of dopamine. How do you not get addicted to something like that, where with information we don't want all of the information all of the time. Human beings very much like taking a break from social interactions, for example. The reason you feel kind of tired after a whole day of socially interacting with people is because it's information that's constantly being put into your brain, and you're putting it out into the universe as well, and that's serotonin. Like the way you look at someone, your face, the words you're saying. If you're saying something truthful to that person, it will release more serotonin in their brain than less. There's so much that influences our ability to experience information, and we get tired of that infinite information constantly flowing into us. But you don't get tired of hearing how great you are. You can get tired of just hearing things, but you don't get tired of hearing, oh, you, oh, ah, oh, me. And that's why amphetamine has such a big reputation for abuse and why it's so dangerous. I don't think it's bad in and of itself. I just understand what it does to the brain. I've never tried it. I'm so grateful. I'm so, so grateful that I've never tried it. It terrifies me. They've banned it in the 60s, 70s because they were considered incompatible with the consumerist society. Oh, yes. I do not feel like I need to shop to make myself feel better anymore either. That is a good point, Alexandre. The goal was to make buying plastic toys the only way to feel good. I hope that is over now. Absolutely. I'm so happy to hear that. Because, like this want to buy things to make us feel better is also so empty. It lasts again, for like a split second, and then there's another need to get the new thing again. Especially now, clean from meth for 8 years. He is still scared he might use it again. It haunts him constantly. And I want to say rightfully so. It would haunt you. I'm not saying it's right that it's haunting him. It would. It would haunt you because just imagine the sheer imbalance that you create in your brain by choosing a substance like that. And the substance isn't the bad thing. It's human behavior. It's the human want to get approval from our own brain. This dopamine part of ourselves that tells us we're doing a good job. Do you speak Dutch? I praat Afrikaans. Amper soos Dutch, maar nie heeltemal nie. It's glad I'm glad Germany is legal in weed now, yes, but it's a sad backstory, and they only did it to politically justify that they're planning on making COVID vaccine obligatory. Oh goodness, Talia, that's a big yikes. Shell is here. Thank you for joining us, Michelle. Friends and new names. Good morning from foggy North California. If you are new, please be sure to leave yourself a breadcrumb trail so you find this place again. Wow, Shell, what a wonderful thing that is to read. Thank you for joining us. Same with Cocaine Toasty. I bet that many people get majorly fucked up if it, but I've seen people using it to experience and share such great love. Generalizing those experiences is just wrong, in my opinion. I agree. If it's used with the right intention, the humans are the one that makes that experience beautiful. The substance is just a chemical molecule. It's like an object. You know, if I licked this bottle and because of the shape that it is, now suddenly my brain starts, tripping out and I'm seeing kaleidoscope fractals in front of me. We wouldn't be like, oh, this bottle is now evil. That's what the psychedelic molecule is as well. Mushrooms produce psilocybin. It's it's basically a serotonin molecule with a phosphate group on it. Then when you eat it, this little phosphate group gets phosphorylated, gets burnt away, and turns into psilocin, and then psilocin is almost exactly the same molecule as serotonin, except for the one fact that it has better affinity for your neurons slash receptors than your own naturally produced serotonin has, meaning that it likes to bond with your brain. It likes to bond with your brain, and it's just a molecule. It's a shape. It's a little object. That chemistry, nature manufactured. Seem like a nice guy. A little full of shit, but nice overall. Yeah, I am a little bit of full of shit, friends. Like maybe a smidge. Aren't we all? Aren't we all, friend? Dear shell. Woo! That one scares me. I don't think I'll ever touch it. No, friend. I'm not sure either. Too many people die on it, and it's too hard to test accurately. But I agree. We have personal agency to know what can help and what can hurt. You're so right, Toasty. Can you do a black flip or a cartwheel or something? I've done two cartwheels today. And I guess, nah, I wanted to do like a mini backflip like this, but then I decided not to. And I was like, no, actually, no. The key, ooh, there's some rain coming along. The key is being honest with ourselves about why we are taking these things, what holes we're filling, and why. That's intention, toast. If you stop yourself and you set an intention, you have to ask yourself those questions, and that's why I believe it's so important to do so. Thank you for doing the same. Frankie Marie, love to you, friend. Toasty 3.0, good morning. Yo, Toasty, I get that. I've never forced anyone to do that. My personal experience was beautiful, but one, not worth that intense money regularly, and two, the majority of people have a different experience. I feel the only way I'd be comfortable with it if I know exactly what I'm getting. If I can get like an actual high quality pure product, then I might consider it. Was your first experience pretty monumental, Talia? I'm curious as well. I think she shared a bit about it with me, but I'm not going to share her experiences. Tabo- Tobacco was grown with radioactive pesticides. That's crazy. I didn't know that actually, Ninja. Ugh. I'm sorry, Jovan. Judgment hurts. Sadly, they have a blind faith in the SSRI simply because a doctor writes the script. Yep, that's exactly what it is. Friends, I am going to say goodbye for today. I know I still have a bunch of comments that are unread. I'm not going to read them. I do actually read them and reply to them afterwards. But I do feel like I want to spend a little bit of time preparing. Wish me luck. I have an important meeting. we're we're starting, friends. This journey of trying to actually survive doing what it is we're doing right now. It's happening. Me, Sensei, and Brandon Be Happy are going to have a meeting again tonight, our second meeting tonight, about the mighty classes, if you will. Classes with the intention to help people. Classes that were set out, that do set out to help people in a certain field, if you will. Brandon Be Happy has a whole class around overcoming alcoholism. As we're talking about substances, I feel it's important to mention as well. He sent those classes through to me. I've been going over them, and I've been considering how I want to make a class of my own. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And I want to spend a little bit more time preparing. I look forward to actually, reading your comments. Thank you, friends, for sharing this time with me. Sounds like there's some spicy rain coming from behind as well, especially how we can return to normal life. Yeah, it will be awesome. I can't wait to sign up. Thank you so much, Jenny. Thank you. Genuinely, friend. I appreciate the love you friends share. Whew, wish me luck. If you want to support this journey, like today is the on day, if you will. I do one day off, one day on. We have a Patreon. We have a Buy Me a Coffee account. We have a PayPal account. Whatever medium you would choose to use, if you would help, I would appreciate it. And I know we can't always help. Sometimes we can't help even once a month. But the next time that you do, please do consider me. It means more than I can say. Genuinely, your friends mean more than I can say. I appreciate you. I love you so much. And I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye, Jenny, and the other friends here. Love you.